Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Microsoft Project Online is ending and leading project managers are moving to clarity. My name is Maizi Dan from MDCOM marketing team. I'm delighted to be your host. Please, before we begin, make sure your microphones are muted during our session, and you can use the chat box at any time to share your questions. We will dedicate some time at the end for the Q&A. This session is recorded and it will be shared with you all later. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Peter Spency, Business Development Director at Rico Consulting, and he will be walking us through today's topic. Over to you, Peter.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining. It's good to see a couple of familiar names. So it just confirms that Clarity community is solid, and I'm very happy that we got this opportunity to, together with MDCOM, to share and discuss, the topic of the Microsoft project online retirement and how Clarity is one of the best alternatives for the modern PMO users. My name is Peter Stasny. I'm indeed leading the Rigo EMEA team. My role is Business Development Director, but it's fair to say that I've been with Clarity for the last almost 18 years. And most of the time it was on the delivery side. And just a couple of years ago, when I joined Rigo, my focus changed towards the new business development and the pre-sale. Together with me, I have my colleague Ben Raper with even longer history in Clarity. So he will guide you through the demo session, because we prepared also the live demonstration of the Clarity capabilities. Ben, can you please confirm you can hear us all good? He's muted for now, but I hope that we will make it work before we get to the demo. So
just a short remark. We can move him to the panelist if it is necessary.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that would be great. So let me start with a.
I added him now.
Perfect. Let me start with a technical check to see if you can all see my screen. So I'll start sharing. Okay. Perfect. So can you please confirm my screen is coming through and you can see the first introduction slide? All right. Excellent.
We can see now the WebEx page.
Oh, the WebEx page. So not the agenda.
Not the agenda, yeah. So maybe you can stop screen sharing.
Apologies for the hiccup. So stop sharing. And we'll start sharing again.
Thank you. So Ben, you are one of the panelists now. Can you try to remove the mute to make sure that it's your connection working fine?
Yeah, I think I'm all good now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, let's give it another try. Now
Perfect.
you should
we can see the agenda now. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So that's a good start. Hopefully the technical hiccups are beyond us. So in terms of agenda, what we have prepared today and what we would like basically to show you, but also discuss with you. So as it was mentioned, we reserved some Q&As at the end, but our general rule is that if you see something which you like, you are wondering, you would like to us to go a bit deeper, please feel free to use the chat, raise your hands, and ask right away. As we go through the slides and later on to the demo, either myself or Ben will be always available to answer these questions as we go. Always trying to make decisions interactive. Well, The topic is quite self-explanatory, I would say. So we all know the Microsoft project online is going end of life at the end of this year, and that basically creates some challenges for the current users, but also some opportunities to really level up and upgrade their current PMO maturity. And so what we are going to talk about is that what it really means, what is exactly going out of life, and what the impact is on the current users. As Rigo has been working with companies actually migrating from Microsoft Project Online to Clarity for last couple of months already, we will share some experience and share the reasoning why many of these organizations choose Clarity as their next PPM solution. What are the key factors and key decision points? And we also will discuss the actual timeline and the process of migrating from the current solution to Clarity, what the standard or let's say typical implementation project looks like, and what are probably the highlights or the three key success factors you need to pay attention to in order to make the migration successful. We will also, as I mentioned, prepare a live demo. So we have a live system available when where we go through the key highlights and key capabilities of Clarity, which basically stands out of the standard PPM or project management tools capabilities, and which are really the best or additional value which customers get by migrating. So these are topics we would definitely want to highlight, and that's why we prepared a live demo. And of course, Q&A at the end. But as I already said, don't refrain from asking the questions as we go, and we'll try to make this session as interactive as we can. So, bring to my next slide. For some of you who actually meet the Rigo for the first time, let me quickly introduce ourselves and the company we're working for. Rigo Consulting is a US-based company which, in terms of size and coverage, has over 250 PPM consultants at the moment. And we basically take care on, we are supporting over 800 customers worldwide. Basically, it's fair to say that we are the global partner of Broadcom and the MBCom in the MEA region, because as you know, Broadcom's go-to-market model is dependent on the network of dealers and the implementation partners, and Rigo is one of these or the preferred implementation partner globally. And we have been doing projects and implementation on behalf of Broadcom for almost last 20 years. Yeah. So at this moment, there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of events we do together with Broadcom and MBCom, including the user group events, the conferences, and also the actual implementation projects and the webinars, presentations like this one, to make sure that we share all the expertise and all the knowledge which we have learned over the years we've been basically implementing the PPM solution. I mentioned the over 800 customer base. This is just a small sample of some of the global companies which are using Clarity and which we are working with on a regular basis to make sure that they basically leverage and they expand with their Clarity usage. You can find some of the well-known global names here, And you can also find multiple companies from the Middle East region, which we have been working with together with MBCom. So we will discuss the references and particular use cases later on in the presentation. But just to get you a sense of the level of expertise and our coverage, this is a good slide we like to show. Now, let's go to the main topic, and that's the Microsoft Online retirement. As I mentioned, for the last couple of months already, basically since the Microsoft announced the planned end of life for Microsoft Project Online, which was sometime towards end of last year, we have been talking to the customers and the users of Microsoft Project, what that really mean for their PPM practice and PMOs going forward. What are really the capabilities or functionality which they will be using in terms of the process support, and what are the critical points for them to consider when actually moving to another solution. And as we are discussing this topic still today, you see basically 5 months before the official retirement, we see that many organizations are still hesitating, still waiting, not really having a clear plan about where they want to move and what they want to do with their current Microsoft Project Online. And of course, this waiting is a risk, because the more you wait, the more likely you will increase the cost of the transformation. The migration will be done under the pressure as the timelines will shorten, and also your available options of upgrading to better tools or different tools will be reducing with the time, because then the time's gonna be the main constraints. Still, when we talk to these customers, we see that they are concerned about the migration project, and they are concerned about moving the platform. And we see some common areas which they always highlight, which basically are source of these concerns, starting with the data loss. So companies using Microsoft Project Online for years, having a long history of data, sometimes or very often very granular data. They're basically afraid of losing this from the not only functional but as also like a legislation or compliance perspective. User adoption is another very hot topic where we often hear companies saying that the project managers have been using the tools for many years. They're used to it, and any adoption is potentially going to impact the data quality. And again, the short time frame which is left to finalize the migration highlights the need of the proper change management and the user adoption. Disruption of the service. Many leaders of PMOs and those amongst you who are in that position might confirm that basically just replacing one tool with another expose a whole the whole range of challenges which might be related to the core processes of the PMO. And of course, this is another major concern. Reporting continuity, as one of the key functions of the PMO, is always to provide reliable reporting to the executive layer and to the management groups within the organizations. Very often the reporting is automated, dependent on the data provided by the Microsoft project, and any disruption of a significant business impact. And related to that, integration impact, because in today's environments, we see very rarely that the PPM solutions would be operating on its own without basic connection to the other applications. Very often they are part of the broader application landscape with many integrations. And of course, taking one piece of this puzzle from the application landscape can have a significant impact on the performance of the whole landscape and on the performance of the whole company. So these are typically the concerns and the challenges the companies are talking to us about. And they mentioned that as a kind of one of the reasons why they can't make a timely decisions and why they are still struggling to basically define what the next step would be. Beyond all these concerns, there is a one major factor though, and which prevails over all of these, and that's the constant and the recent change on the market. So when you look at the current environments and the current markets, you see that the requirements for what the PPM solution actually is supposed to deliver, what role it should play in the organization is changing. And the traditional project management solutions are no longer sufficient and no longer actually support the current needs. And we hear many leaders of PMO saying, well, the Microsoft Project Online became obsolete long before this retirement date. So we are not so much concerned about replacing one tool another. We are concerned about how we fulfill and how we adapt to the new reality and the new market, which is currently, or the current changes which are currently happening in our organizations, and how can we actually support the organization in the best way. And again, if you read pretty much any of the analyst reports and the PPM studies about the current transformation trends and the current directions, the whole PPM and the SPM sector is moving. You will find pretty much the items or the trends which I highlighted on this slide. And in short, these trends very clearly indicates that the role of the PPM or the SPM platforms are changing, and from what we call traditionally like a project management, project tracking, status reporting, we are moving towards a more strategic investment governance with a very high focus on strategic alignment, program governance, and the hybrid model delivery. This is nothing new, actually. We have seen this trend for a couple of years now, but it's becoming even more important with the rise of AI, with the transformations companies are performing. That the key focus is on making sure the right investments are funded, making sure that whatever company is doing is aligned with the strategy, and also that no one model fits all. So although there are companies heavily involved in the agile delivery, in every organization, we see the waterfall still being used in some departments for some types of projects. Typically, if you go to infrastructure programs, constructions projects, etc., this will hardly be ever replaced by the agile. And from the strategic perspective, it is really the combination of these two, which are very often, part of the same portfolio, part of the same program. And of course, the new tools need to reflect that. And that's why that's where clarity comes into the play, where what we are trying to convince and to discuss with most of the PMOs and PMO leaders and PMO stakeholders is that really the migration of the Microsoft project online can be a very technical exercise, and maybe it can get you from one tool to another. But above all, it is a great opportunity to revisit your current processes and to basically upgrade and leverage the PPM processes and PPM capabilities to match the modern trends and the modern the requirements which actually organizations are expecting from the modern PMO. And for those of you who have been playing or who have been using Clarity for a while, you know that that is basically where Clarity has been positioned since almost the day one over its more than 20 years history on the market. Because Clarity has been always positioned as the leading solution in the SPM space. So if you look at pretty much any report from the major analyst, whether it is Gartner, Forrester, or IDC, for example, you will always find Clarity is one of the leading products. And this position is due to the range of capabilities which allows this upgrade from, let's say, the standard project management to really full strategic portfolio governance platform. So more focus on prioritization, more focus on governance, while still keeping all the traditional project management, resource management capabilities, which we will, of course, talk about a bit later on as well. Second main reason or second main element which I would highlight about Clarity is that when you're making such a significant change as, you know, changing your core PMO platform, you want to make sure that whatever happens next, whatever the trend will be introduced in a year or a couple of years, your platform is flexible enough to adapt, and also is supported by a vendor who has power to make to keep the platform actually on the edge and keep bringing new capabilities, new features to reflect the changes on the market. And in this case, Broadcom plays an excellent roles. So not only the Broadcom is famous for being one of the most innovative companies in the world, but also the amount of effort they put into Clarity at the moment is basically unmatched of. And every quarter, that means 4 times a year, there is a new release of Clarity with loads of new functionality, loads of new capabilities, which are reflecting not only the Broadcom's vision of the platform, but also to a large extent is driven by the customer feedback and what basically customers are reporting to Broadcom as you know, the next functionality, the next capabilities they would like to have in the solution. Of course, having a good platform is one thing. Being able to implement it properly is another, and that's where the migration process itself plays a significant role. So within the Rego, we have been developing the migration process for the last couple of months, making sure that we can deliver a smooth and low-risk transitions to all the companies, no matter of the size or complexity. And last, not least thing I mentioned is the Microsoft ecosystem retention. Because when I was talking about the user adoption and you know, the PMO systems being part of the larger application landscape, very often those of you who use Microsoft Project Online also use the other applications from Microsoft ecosystem. It might be the Microsoft Project Desktop application. It might be the SharePoint or the whole Microsoft 365 suite with Outlook, Teams, etc. And by replacing one application from the landscape, you still want to make sure that all these other system and applications are valid and connected to whatever the new system is. Clarity actually supports the integration with Microsoft Project Desktop out of the box, and together with some of the Rigo innovations, we offer also the seamless integration and connectors with Microsoft SharePoint, Outlook, Teams, Power BI reporting, and more applications from the Microsoft 365 suite to make sure that, again, even after the transformation or the migration project, you can keep all your current applications and they provide the same value and provide the same data exchange with the new SPM platform. I will speed up a little bit so we get to the demo. This slide I added to the deck. You will have it for the reference, just showing the current position in the main respected analysts reports. And also the next one is about some use cases from organizations across the industry, which is another common sign of clarity, is that there is no particular industry which we would identify like ideal. Our customer base lies really across all different verticals and industries, starting, of course, from finance to manufacturing, constructions, to retail, any kind of organization actually can use Clarity and is using Clarity at the moment. So there is no specific vectors or verticals which we would only limit the usage to. And this basically this concludes, I would say, the introduction part. In the next section, we look at the live system, where we would like to highlight the capabilities which differs Clarity from, I'd say, the traditional project management tools, which does not mean that Clarity cannot do all the project scheduling, resource planning, and all these capabilities. But because of the limited time, we want to highlight the ones which leverage the Clarity to real the modern SPM platform. So Ben will be talking about managing strategy, a strategic roadmap, and also the hierarchies, making sure that Clarity efficiently connects the strategy to the execution by providing still the measurement metrics and the key results to prove and measure the value companies are getting from the solution, from the investments, and measuring the progress. Ben, quickly to you. Are you ready with the system?
Yeah, I think I'm all good to go. Thank you.
Can we do a quick check? Yeah.
Yeah, let me share my screen and we can double check.
Okay, so let's do the switch check. And after the demo, we'll still leave a couple of minutes to talk about the transformation project, our best practices, to basically give you some insight into how such a migration project looks like, what's the user timeline, and what are the crucial parts of the migration. But for now, Ben, over to you.
Okay, can I just check the screen is showing? It should be a Clarity dashboard to get us started.
Yeah, we can see it, Ben.
Perfect, thanks very much. Okay, so I have just probably about 10-15 minutes to show you around the system a little bit. This is a topic I could spend hours on, as Petter knows from our other sessions. So I will move quite quickly. Just want to give you a taster of kind of how Clarity brings all that data together that Petter was talking about. Obviously happy to have further discussions as and when that might make sense for each of you. In terms of Clarity in general, for those who haven't seen it, obviously a web-based platform, navigation is very similar to website navigation. We have a main menu bar here on the left-hand side, which is going to take you through the sections and the modules of the tool that can be sort of collapsed or expanded there. And you can choose what's on that. Equally, all the access will be role-based. So although I'm seeing everything, so I'm logged in as kind of a super user for today, a general user is going to see a subset of what's on that list, depending on their role, how they need to interact with the system. Just to bring that to life, if I swap my login to sort of a team member, you can see that not only does the landing page change to kind of more of a task-based view, but obviously I've got a lot less options here on my left-hand menu. I'm really just focusing on my tasks, my timesheet, my next activities, my to-dos. So just to show you kind of how the user experience is tailored to the user and their role throughout the system. For the rest of the session, I will just stay in as kind of the super user so I can move around quite freely and show you a few bits that we want to highlight. But I did want to make it clear, obviously, as we navigate through, that you can choose to expand or to show or hide as much of the system and what we're seeing today as you choose to for your users. And it can be a journey to unlock some of these additional features from your initial starting position. And Petter will talk more about that in terms of our implementation approach and kind of how we expand and phase some of that. So quickly through a few key modules that Petter's already mentioned. The core concept of Clarity moving from PPM, so strictly projects and programs, to more of an SPM or product management platform comes from what we kind of call the investments in Clarity. So whilst the tool does still have and obviously relies upon a huge project module for a lot of the project details, we also have what we call the investments module. And this is where we can build essentially a shell, an area of the product for any type of work that an organization may want to track. So this allows us to build out strategic components, value streams, product management, BAU, other work, service management, application management, whatever the use case is, we can build out these areas and kind of add them into the whole portfolio of work. And all of the core modules of Clarity, like risks, issues, task management, schedule planning, prioritization, road mapping, these all come on all of these other new features once we add them. So as soon as you create an area, you can unlock all the core modules of Clarity to apply to that area and decide what makes sense. And I'll bring this to life through some of the screens and things I'll be looking at. But the core here is that you can really create whatever organization of work, whatever types of work that you want to capture, not just projects and programs, and then roll them into the whole portfolio. So with that, we're going to start kind of from a strategic point of view. So we often capture with our customers everything from the top mission and vision of the organization, which can be captured in text boxes, or we can have some nice charts here where you have some visualizations I'm sure you already have within the business. And then we want to go through the layers, if you like, of the strategic hierarchy to say, okay, this is our top level mission and vision. Now I want to break that down into maybe goals, themes, pillars, different names for different customers. So I can start to break that down into 7 key areas that I want to actually invest into. And I can start to say kind of what my investment in those areas I would hope to have, and start to get some figures coming back up the hierarchy of what we're doing to attain and kind of drive work towards these pillars. Those pillars generally are broken down then into the more traditional OKRs, so objectives and key results, or it could be more of a KPI focused organization. It does tend to differ from customer to customer, but we're just trying to build out the layers of the hierarchy that get us from that very top strategic vision all the way down to how a certain project, program, or investment is actually kind of performing and assisting with that vision, and all the traceability that lies in between. So we've got the overall vision, we've broken it down into goals, we've broken it down into objectives and key results, which we can see here. And then this is the level generally down at key result level where we start to map the work. So you can say this project is contributing towards these key results and these metrics. And then we get, obviously, progress, attainment values, target values, which can be over time or kind of an annual number that we move towards. So this allows us to build out the strategic components in Clarity and link them to the core strength, which has always been kind of the delivery of that work in projects and programs. We can actually visualize all of this in a hierarchical format as well, using the hierarchy module in Clarity, which can be quite a nice way to see this. Because if I just shrink this up very quickly and build it out for you, we have our vision, we can see our pillars represented here. And obviously all these are living, breathing things. I can double click on them and go and find out more about a specific one. But I can also go down another layer and see my objectives. And then with that, the key results. And then if there was work hanging off this key result, I could see that as well. Now, whether this diagram shows that or not tends to depend on whether you have a many-to-many relationship, like a lot of organizations do, or if it's a more hierarchical once you get down to the work mapping to the strategic hierarchy. But what we really just wanted to show today is that these components can exist in Clarity, can be managed in Clarity, and can be linked to any work or execution work that's going on in Clarity. With that, I'm going to move to more of that execution layer and just show a little bit of that for a couple of minutes. So if we're focusing more traditionally, I'm going to show it in the project space. But as I mentioned, all the core modules that I'm going to show very quickly exist for product management, application management, service management, BAU, agile planning. Whatever you want to do, you can choose these same modules if they make sense for that. And what we do in order to differentiate between the types of work is we use something called blueprints to show that a little bit and bring it to life. If I go into this project, which is a major sort of traditional major project, there's quite a lot of complex of detail in here. So we've got quite a large sort of properties page. We've got a 5-stage gate planning cycle. We've got some key stakeholders, some financials, and then we've got a lot of tabs across the top there. Task planning, resource management, RAID logs, lessons learned, checklists and governance management, status reporting, a link to SharePoint, and a load of other things going on here as well. If I come back out and I go into, let's say, a smaller agile initiative, maybe an app release, that's going to look and feel significantly different. I'm going to come into a different screen. I'm asking different questions around kind of the lean business case. I've still got tasks and risks, but I don't have other modules like lessons learned and issues and other things like that. I'm not going through a 5-stage gate process. It's probably more of a release cycle being managed potentially in the agile product or in Clarity. So it's a very different experience and a very different level of detail, but they're all still things in Clarity that we can roll back up together for reporting purposes. We're seeing them on a schedule here together. You'll see them in a lot of other dashboarding and stuff all rolled in together. So whatever different types of work you have, whether it's size, objective of the work, methodology of the work, we can do different blueprints and change the look and feel and kind of the detail level that you may need to capture data on. If I just go quickly into my major project again, we'll just touch on a few of the key tabs, certainly coming from a Microsoft project ecosystem. Obviously, we want to take a quick look at the task planning and just see how some of this kind of moves through. So if we go to task planning, now we have multiple customers that have moved from Microsoft Project to using Clarity Native as the planning tool. But there is also a interaction with Microsoft Project alone that we can have. So you can export this out into MSP, make changes and save it back in should we want to. But you can do all the same functionality in Clarity. It does look and feel slightly different. There's obviously a little bit of training and knowledge transfer there to just get people used to a different UI, but it's all here. We can create tasks, subtasks, milestones. We can move things around by dragging and dropping. We can expand them. We can draw kind of visually some metrics on there and some dependencies on there. We have auto scheduling in order to try and calculate the critical path, but also to auto schedule based on dependency movement and resource availability. We can baseline and compare to a baseline plan. You can see there's some of those metrics already being expanded here with kind of a finished variance column we have here. You can use templates to create your initial plan or copy from existing plans. And you can embed projects within projects to create what I would call a more traditional program schedule. So not just where they're strategically linked or they are kind of resource grouped. They actually have a schedule dependency on each other. This project is a work stream within this program or project. So you can sort of add sub-projects, true sub-projects, where you can get an end-to-end Gantt chart going on there. So there's a lot of different features in here, as well as the ability to export this whole thing to PDF from a visualization perspective. And one of the key things around all the screens in Clarity is going to be the different visualization options you have. So I'm looking at a Gantt chart here, but I can quickly go between my views, which are all saved here, and I could see this data represented in a more traditional grid. There are reasons I would love this view: mass data editing, ability to sort of sort by columns and do pivot tables and things very easily. So I can see everything that's going on. So depending on what kind of questions you're trying to answer, how you as a person like to consume data, you'll see there's always multiple different views and things we can do. Equally, for the more agile work, or if you want to visualize the flow of work, we have boards and Kanban board style views. It's the same data, the same project, the same tasks and milestones, just all being represented differently by changing the different settings here. Now, I've got these saved, but you'd have full options with all these different settings to decide exactly what you wanted this to look like. I've just saved some specific ones that I may want to look at it over time. Just my milestones, for example, to keep my plan nice and simple, or just my critical path, whatever it may be. And this functionality to kind of filter and change the columns very easily by just dragging and dropping them in, or kind of rearranging the way we view the work, it is across all the areas of Clarity. So risks, tasks, projects, everywhere we go, we have these different options as to what we're going to do. So just keeping moving very quickly for our overview today, because I know we are short on time. We do obviously have other modules in here. Risk management can come in here across just building out your risk scoring. We have document management is native to Clarity, but we also often have our SharePoint integration in play. So we could embed the SharePoint site here and have some integration there to allow document management to remain in SharePoint primarily, which is a common outcome, especially with people coming from the Microsoft ecosystem. And we also have a couple of bits that I do like within Clarity, checklists for governance planning and the ability to show kind of what the steps and the things we should be doing at each stage are, whether that's a link out again to a SharePoint or a different outside document, or it's something we're holding in Clarity. We can provide evidence of when things are done, when things are blocked, and that's going to help us just enhance the plan. So not just tasks, but everything around that that's going to take us through our sort of 5-stage process. One of the component parts is going to be resourcing, which we just wanted to touch on quickly. So we are going to be able to add resources, roles, and teams to our projects and our work. And then by having this as the demand page, if you like, this is what we need and when we need it, then we do have a whole module here for more aim towards the resource management use case, which is going to show me kind of what the over and under allocation of all the roles, resources, and teams are across the whole portfolio of work. Again, I can filter this to make sure I'm only looking at my team or I'm focusing on work for a particular part of the business. But fundamentally, it's going to tell me if I go and look at what Isaac's doing to be so over allocated, I can plus that out and see that he's actually across 5 or 6 different initiatives at 100% of his availability. I can then, if I have the access to do so, edit this and level this here or reallocate or replace Isaac to try and balance my resourcing portfolio. So we're getting the demand from the investments themselves. And then we have some fantastic resource management dashboards, the scenario planning here for resourcing, so you can plot out kind of what the scenario might look like, and a whole load of reporting around kind of what people are doing and where they're over and under allocated, allowing us to respond to them. Final few bits before I close for today are just to look at some of the consolidated reporting. So if you imagine that we've created our portfolio of work in Clarity, we have all the different types of things, be it projects and programs or anything else we want to capture. There's a couple of modules that really bring it all together above that. One of them is hierarchies. So here it's a grouping of work, right? It could be around a portfolio objective. It could be around a more traditional program structure. It could be a product portfolio, a product hierarchy, or a strategic hierarchy. It doesn't really matter what the use case is. The functionality itself is designed around being able to group multiple things together and then view the consolidated data. So if I just look at this portfolio, for example, I've got the portfolio here at the top, I've got some projects and programs underneath, and then I've got some work streams and initiatives underneath those. I can view this hierarchically, I can view it as a Gantt chart. Essentially what I've done is create a box around these 20 initiatives, and I'm going to get consolidated reporting for everything that's held within those initiatives. So I can get some really nice overviews. I can drill down and see the individual task plans for each of them, or a calendar view across this whole sort of portfolio of work. I can get to the grid and the actual task detail that we saw at the detail level if I wanted to. I can get a consolidated risk board, lessons learned, all the RAID boards, as well as what strategically they're linking to from a key results and staffing perspective. So it's just consolidating all that data, more like a PMO. All the PMO dashboards and consolidation can come from here. We also then have the ability to create the dashboarding like I started on in my first screen. In Clarity, this is what we call our Canvas dashboards. you can essentially dashboard up any of the information. It's all drag and drop and no code to make these dashboards. And then you can swap between different ones that you might save that kind of answer different questions. So more status related on this one, more strategic alignment on the first one, maybe a bit of a health overview in terms of kind of how we're performing against different targets on this one here. So different examples of dashboarding. As I say, it's all drag and drop to configure it. You don't need coding expertise. You just need to understand the data that you'd like to see and what format you'd like to see it in. The final module I just want to touch on for 2 minutes, and then I'll hand back to Petter to close us out, is road mapping. Now, if hierarchies is the viewing of data and consolidation of data, road mapping is your sort of annual planning, quarterly planning, scenario planning module. So you're going to bring in, most organizations would have some kind of spreadsheet or database of the work that's going on and the information we know about it, whether that is its strategic alignment, its objective, its sponsor, its the money, the ROI, the percentage complete, the prioritization. There's going to be a sort of a repository of all this information. And quite often that takes a lot of time to update and keep up to date. Here, what we do is we import the data from Clarity. It synchronizes into this module, and it gives me a playground because everything in here is now scenario based. So I'm not changing live data in roadmaps. I'm building out a roadmap scenario based on synchronizing the live data. So I can always go and get the latest live picture, or I can actually go in here and model things and make some changes. And what that allows me to do is not only see it in kind of a grid style view, but to be able to actually start to visualize that by whatever metrics I see fit. In this case, I've got kind of a swim lane per strategic goal, those pillars that we spoke about at the beginning. And I can see all of the work that I'm currently investing in around each pillar. And I'm rolling up some key metrics there. I may want to change that in terms of what I'm investing in. So I can actually go to kind of prioritize and planning, take a look at that and say, okay, well, I am over budget. I'm over my OPEX target here. So what happens if I take something out of my proposed portfolio plan? And I can take this out. That's not me changing anything live or doing anything crazy like that. I'm just modeling it out. If I take that one out, then I come and I've got a nice portfolio of work there that I know that can stay within budget. If the budget's changed, we can change these metrics and then replan, based on the prioritization, based on some examples of what might be a good cut candidate or a good watch list candidate based on whether it's ROI or ranking or whatever it might be. You can get some insights here and help model that scenario. So this was a very quick overview, but just showing you how we can take the core project functionality that kind of Microsoft Project Online is doing, but also wrap that around an SPM features or the portfolio reporting or the roadmap reporting to provide a more comprehensive output from one single system. Petter, back to you. I think close us out on implementation and a bit of Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. And I would just add that for those of you who would be keen on understanding more and basically learn more about the capabilities Ben just showed us, I will be very happy to arrange a separate demo because it's almost impossible to cover all the, or breadth of the Clarity capabilities within 15 minutes. So very happy to have a follow-up and go a little bit deeper and show.
Anyone that's ever met me or knows me knows that was very challenging for me to stay within 15 minutes. So I'm desperate to say more to anyone who will happily listen to me. So please just reach out.
Great. Thank
I'm
you so much.
the most impressed, I must say, Ben. So let me see if I can.
Yeah, we have received a couple of questions, Peter. I'm not sure if you can see the chat box or not. If not, I can read it.
Yes,
for you.
let's go through this question first, and then we can conclude the implementation approach. So it seems like these questions are coming from the partners, and or maybe some awesome users and actually grown. Can you please name some European finance customer where Clarity is deployed and adopted successfully? So, well, that's again some Ben's territory. But before I unleash him, I'll just say that financials in general are one of the strongest capabilities of Clarity. So, in most of our implementations, we are, or our ambition is to promote the financials, because we also know that once the financial planning and the finance team get or become the Clarity user, really makes the foundations of the tool much more and actually easy to expand going forward. So it's always our ambition and focus to make sure that the financials are somehow implemented in Clarity. And in terms of the customers, I think, yeah, definitely there's a number of customers. Just to take very recent, Ben, I think that you time on the University of Oxford, which basically use Clarity for their complete financial planning, annual planning cycles, etc. And there is pretty much all of the key or the main financial institutions. So whether we talk about HSBC, London Stock Exchange, and others, basically use the financial planning and financial management in some form. Ben, do you want to add something to it? I know you've been in touch with most of these customers recently.
No, I mean, as you say, there are many financial customers. I think I'm currently working with both HSBC and London Stock Exchange, which would be two massive financial institutions where Clarity is being used. As you mentioned, we've just done a finance department in the University of Oxford as well, which I've just finished. So yeah, they're my three ones right now, but there's a load of others as well that I've been with in the past.
Okay. And the next question, Microsoft Planner is the official transitioning for Microsoft Project, which customers already pay in Plan 1, E3, E5 licenses. What is the value of changing to Clarity Sync? They already have at least basic plan version. And it is exactly what Ben has been showing. So from, let's say, the SPM perspective, or if you look at the requirements for the modern SPM platform, quite frankly, the Microsoft Planner is kind of a downgrade. So all these capabilities focus on the strategic planning, strategic alignment, OKRs, hierarchies, road mapping is either not existent or very lightweight in the Microsoft Planner. So for companies who are looking for just replacing Microsoft Project Online for their traditional project management, it might be a viable option. However, for companies who really want to upgrade and leverage their PMO practice, it's typically not, or it's usually not sufficient, and they are looking for these more advanced capabilities from the tool, which actually Clarity delivers. Do you have any advice on how to enter a new market country? What are the most effective steps to acquire new customers, generate new Clarity leads? Oh, that's a very good question. I think in this case, I would, especially with in the region of Middle East or the MBCom area, I would highlight the role of MBCom. We actually know the team, and really must say they are doing very good job in promoting the Clarity and the Broadcom solutions. So the easy answer would be yes. It is a MBCom guys and the MBCom team, whether it is marketing or their sales representatives. If we talk about a general approaches, how Rigo actually enters the new territories, I would suggest that would be a topic for a separate discussion. I'm very happy to touch base on that. So yes, we do have experience with entering the new market, as Rigo has a couple of years ago basically entered that not only the European market, but also the Asia Pacific. So I'm very happy to share the experience and discuss in more details. Do you have any use cases from construction companies, specifically large infrastructure companies? Yes, and we had this discussion recently within Rigo, because there is a number of large customers who use Clarity for infrastructure management or the application management. Ben, if you can recall some of the names, I have been, because most of our customers in Europe are more either manufacturing or finance institution, but but from what I remember, there is quite a large user base in the US using Clarity for the infrastructure management.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are running out of time. One key message which I still wanna basically share is related to our implementation approach and implementation timeline, because as I mentioned at the beginning, the decommissioning of the Microsoft project online is coming pretty fast. So it's we are 5 months from the complete end of life of that application. And that means that very often the key decision criteria for selecting the the next step and selecting the target application is actually whether it is possible to migrate in the given timeline rather than capabilities of the solution. And to actually meet that requirement, Rego developed a migration framework and basically standard project template, which within 2 months, approximately 8 to 9 weeks, actually replicate the functionality which is currently used by the customers in the Microsoft Project Online into Clarity. So with the key element being the requirements and the configuration workshops, we guide the customer team or the PMO team through the capabilities of the Clarity, discuss the current processes, and define the required configuration which needs to happen in order to support the migration, and later on also define the migration scripts and procedures. This will make sure that the service becomes or is not disrupted, and basically all the capabilities which have been available in the Microsoft Project Inline are migrated to Clarity. At the same time and in parallel, we run something which we call digital environment assessment, which is basically comprehensive analysis of the current processes, current way of working of the different teams and people, identifying gaps and really creating the roadmap for the future Clarity enhances to enable all the capabilities Ben's been talking about, to enable this additional level of governance, strategic alignment, and the value monitoring and measurement, which Clarity offers on top of the standard project management tools and the Microsoft Project Online as well. So as a result, after these, let's say 9 weeks, including some post-go live support, the customers get not only a new platform with all the data in this rapid service as they had in the Microsoft Online, but also they have a clear roadmap with the new capabilities, new, let's say, the big rocks to move to the maturity of the PMO, and to leverage some of the modern SPM tool capabilities and features. With that, I would probably conclude the presentation today. We have a lot more examples and a lot more details to share. So those of you who are interested in any particular topic covered today, as I mentioned, we'll be very happy to have a follow-up session to go through the more detailed Clarity demo, discuss the implementation approach, or generally just to share experience regarding Clarity implementations or any other topic. Please let us know your feedback. and we hope we'll keep in touch with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Peter and Ben, for such a great, clear presentation, and thank you all for joining us today. Kindly, before you leave, we ask you to complete the short survey you will get. This session recording will be shared with you as well the soonest, and in case you want to have the slides, please reach out to Kalman. I shared his email address on the chat box here. And as Peter mentioned, if you would love to schedule a demo or go further, please reach us and we can set up this for you. We truly appreciate your time today, and we look forward to welcome you at our future session. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.